Welcome to the Scene Snobs podcast.
Hi, don't mind if I do. That's right, everybody. We're back again another Tuesday night. We're having some fun. Hopefully you join us live. But if you can't join us live, thank you for listening, hanging out, supporting, being part of it. We truly appreciate you. We're going to get started. We have a really fun show. Of course, producer Paul's hanging out in the green room, taking care of business. We have a great guest. My boy Wize is here. You've seen him. You know him. Been on the show before. Go check out the Stuck in My Mind podcast. Fantastic podcast. And he's going to be joining us. We're going to be talking some fun topics tonight. We're going to be talking about celebrities. Is canceling working, and should it work? We're going to get into all those little questions about celebrities and cancel culture and everything. And then we're going to talk about AI in movies. Should it be used? Is it taking over? When is it pushed too far? Love to ask those questions and more from these gentlemen, and we're going to get into that. But I want to bring up one thing. Something recently happened, and I just want to make mention of it. So I'm a big fan of Watcher. It's a channel on YouTube. And if anybody else is a big fan, they started BuzzFeed with Unsolved and stuff like that. Very cool group, Ryan and Shane. And then they started Watcher, and they've been flowing with it. And I really enjoyed the whole thing. And they just announced last week that they were going to leave YouTube and start their own streaming service. Lots of backlash. Now, they didn't do it the right way. So it's not, I'm going to defend them a little bit, but I'm not going to say they were right. And when they backtracked and I think they made a much better deal, and I'm so happy as a fan who is going to continually be subscribed and be a part of it, like watching and such. I don't understand the hate for starting your own streaming service though. And that's the one thing I kind of want to defend, because that's where we're headed with what we do here. That's the goal for the Scene Snobs. I do want to have a streaming service. I want to have a service where I can provide all different types of shows like I do now on YouTube. But by doing it on YouTube and having a channel here, I work for YouTube. And you got to go by them, and you got to deal with all their changes, and every time they move the goalpost on you and everything else. So it's tough. And then I have the Patreon, which is our main source of support, and it all goes back into the channel. But ultimately, I feel like that would be a fantastic thing to move to a streaming service. So I wanted to defend that, because a lot of people were comparing it to Dropout and then saying that them getting into a streaming service was just a terrible idea and they're following a bad model. I don't think they are. And I hope everybody who listens and watches and knows how much I love podcasting and this passion, doing videos and all these shows that we do. I love this. But we got, it's hard to run this stuff without that support and without having full control of all the videos, where they go and all this, that, and the other thing. It's tough. So I defend the streaming service, and I think we should all keep an open mind. And that's what I wanted to intro with today, because that's eventually where I think we're all going. And hopefully, it'll be fortuitous for all of us. But let me get my co-host on here, Paul.
You said fortuitous.
Fortuitous.
What kind of AI chatbot did you use?
Wise. Welcome, sir.
What's going on, brother?
Good. Hey, sorry, I had to go on my little tangent about that, because I'm a fan of theirs. I saw them getting really lambasted. Also, I have an authority here about podcasting that I can talk to and see what he thinks about the streaming service. I wanted to ask you that question first.
Who's the authority?
You, sir.
Not me.
You may. Listen, I'm just a podcaster who sits off to the side and helps when I can. You are the man. You're in there helping people, building awareness and such. So you're more of an authority than I am.
For me, it's the ultimate goal for me is to have my own streaming platform, to have my own platform where I produce shows and basically have my own TV channel. So I don't knock anyone whose goal is that, because our goal should always be to evolve. And listen, YouTube makes a lot of money off of people, and some people just aren't seeing any money.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, and it is. It's just and again, moving the goalposts as much as they do. It's listen, it's the platform to be on right now. It is the top platform for everything. Mm-hmm. But ultimately, a streaming service and I don't know that $6 a month is where you want to jump off to. Maybe when you're starting, because I am a fan of Watch. They've been around for a few years. But I'm they only have 360 videos on their YouTube. And I'm you want to start a streaming service, you need more than that. I have 2,900. And I wouldn't start a streaming service right now. You know what I mean? Like, so, yeah. So like, that was like my biggest thing. But like the canceling of like, and I call it cancel because it really is. It seems like a witch hunt most times. But I want to talk about celebrities tonight and the cancel culture that surrounds them. It's first off, I want to ask you: do you even think it works? It's not that I support it, and none of this is about like I'm biased. There's one side or the other. I just want to ask, like, I don't even think it works, honestly.
I don't know. I don't necessarily think it doesn't, or it does, because there's so many people that's been canceled, right? And they're still doing pretty well for themselves. Are they in the spotlight like they used to be? Maybe not, but I don't know. For me, we're canceling people for some of the dumbest shit.
That's true.
Like something they might have tweeted 20 years ago. Like it's ridiculous that people getting canceled for shit they tweeted 20 years ago, 15, whatever, and people get offended a bit about it now. But 15, 20 years ago, motherfuckers weren't getting offended over easy stuff. Sorry, I don't mean to curse it so much.
Yeah, it's fine, man. On this one, it's like you're all good.
You're canceled.
Yeah, right.
I agree, man. Like it is. And you're right. Like, look, Kevin Spacey's still making movies. Like, like if you're gonna tear this off and be like, okay, like Weinstein had his due process in jail. Cosby went to jail. Like all these people, like they did this thing, and so like that to me isn't canceling. The law handled it, But when you get to the cancel culture of like, let's shut this down because, like you said, he did something 20 years ago, stuff like that. I see no repercussions. You go away for 6 months, you come back, and people have forgotten it because we moved on to everything, which I'm fine. But like, my thing is like, we got to stop the dog and pony show of it. Then, like, if we're not going to care about this in 6 months, why ruin anything right now?
Like, look, you got to even look at even the OJ situation with OJ passing away, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is a man who was found not guilty of 2 murders, right? But of course, everybody had their opinion. He's guilty, whatever it is. And then he goes and ends up going to jail for stealing his own memorabilia, right? And still, he still hasn't paid the civil lawsuit of the case. I don't understand how is it that you're found not guilty of the murders, but in the civil courts you're still found guilty and have to pay that. If you weren't found guilty of the murders, how are you guilty of anything else?
Listen, the courts work weird. It's different. Yeah, it's just a different ruling, different jury in on it. So it's you can listen to the case. And one thing I will say is he was stealing his memorabilia back, but in fairness, he was stealing it after he sold it.
Yeah.
So like,
smart.
So I mean, I get it if like I grabbed the box and I ran out and I'm like, yeah, you can't have it, and then he came and stole it back. But like, nah, he sold that shit, yard sale style. I like what James is saying here. He says canceling only works when it's convenient.
Mm-hmm.
So James is here, and so is Chris. What's up, James? Thanks for joining in. So what about you, Paul? You're not saying much. What do you think about this whole canceling thing?
I don't know. I'm kind of over it because I feel like a lot of times we're quick to cancel someone just because we hear somebody else say that somebody said something or did something. I'm very much like, even if we're going to trial, like we'll go Johnny Depp and Amber Heard. Like people were quick to jump down. Oh, well, it had to be him. I'm not saying, like woe is being a male nowadays or anything like that. But I do think it's kind of ridiculous how quick people were to assume that she was absolutely telling the truth when they're just going to trial. I don't think that's fair, because it should be, let's wait, see what actually this is, and then make a decision whether we feel that way or not. And then now everything is kind of back to normal as far as Johnny Depp, which is great. But it's funny because I've had friends that were like, oh well, I'm not going to watch any more Johnny Depp movies, and I'm not going to rewatch any of his stuff, blah blah blah. But then once that came out, oh well, I still love Johnny Depp, and I'm still one of his biggest fans. Like, you're just hopping on a bandwagon.
Now ask them if they've seen Aquaman 2.
And the answer will be no. I hope so. But no, as far as cancel culture, I think it's ridiculous that we've hit a point where people are searching to cancel someone so bad that they have to look back 20 years at tweets just to be like, oh, well, this person one time kind of said something almost on the fence, but let's twist it and make sure we say that, they hate the Jewish community just because they said this one thing or this or that. I don't think that's fair, because I know if I was put under a microscope, I'd be canceled all night and day. Especially, just being honest, like even with high school friends, I mean, high school boys say the dumbest things ever.
Yes,
And
we
if
do.
I was being judged off the worst version of myself trying to come into who I am, I'd be in a lot of trouble. And I don't think that's fair to judge someone on who they possibly were 20 years ago. Because even if they were a little bad, then they're not now, obviously. So they grew up.
People grow. Yeah, people grow and change.
Yeah.
Listen, you can't hold people accountable for something they said 20 years ago. I was one of the most immature fucks 20 years ago. Like, so
Thank
who
God
knows?
those phones weren't around.
Yeah, right.
Like we didn't like I as younger, I think back 20 years ago, we were assholes. Don't get me wrong. And you're
Oh, yeah.
right. Like there are things like I can't think of anything that was like
Like a lot of the movies that we grew
you're
up
weird.
watching and stuff like that nowadays are offensive to people. Like,
yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
And there are things, but plus we also judge people based on like our feelings about the world now.
Like, how do you think Spaceballs will be received now compared to when we were watching it?
Perfect example. What I'm saying, it's just like we got to stop looking at it from the looking at everything in the past from the lens of like today's world.
Yeah,
It's too much. It presses too hard. Like we either have to start forgiving the past and like trying to reconcile and move on, or
seriously, because let's think about it. We're combing the desert, right? And he has the black dude with the fist. Right? They ain't found shit.
it's one of my favorite scenes in that movie.
People probably be offended about shit like that, and it's crazy that in just in our lifetime is shifted to where you can't say anything about anyone.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you say anything about trans people, you're transphobic, whatever it is. Like if your opinion is men are men and women are women, or you're transphobic. Why? Because it's my opinion. Like whatever you say you are, that's fine. But for you to force upon me something that I've learned in school and biology and science all my life, to tell me no, you have to say I'm this. I'm like, no, hey, listen, whatever you are, that's fine. That's fine with you. My issue is when you start forcing your opinions to make it other people's beliefs, and that's just not right.
Yeah, no, and I agree. I definitely 100% agree with that. And even adding into, because I grew up with that in an element of like, I grew up going to Catholic school, right? So religion, like if you disagree, especially in that setting, no, this is the way it works. Where in science books does it say this is where it works? Like, and then you ask those questions, you get in trouble. So, you need to indoctrinate yourself, be a part of it, be a part of the belief structure and everything else, to, in my opinion, be the zombie that they want you to be. But I'm not attributing that to the trans community. I'm just saying it's becoming too, how do you gain allies? I guess what I'm trying to say, if you're pressing so hard, they can't just change people's way of thinking. You can and I'm talking like genetic thinking, like all of the stuff that poured out from decades and decades and decades and decades and generations of like
listen, I have no issues with when you're older and you decide you want to have whatever the transformation and whatever. But when you start putting it on kids, when it's something where now you're affecting kids and you want to indoctrinate this in schools and stuff like that, like, don't they know that's when we're most impressionable, is when we're kids? I don't care what you say, that's when you're most impressionable, is when you're a kid. A lot of us are, like, a lot of the stuff I picked up as a kid because it's something I learned, I watched, seen. It's programming that I picked up as a kid.
I agree. And as somebody who's been personally trying to deprogram myself from that, like from the thinking I had and when I was brought up to think, and stuff like that, like, and working against that, like, my mental health and stuff like that, it's opened me up to realize, like, I don't mind what is taught in schools as long as it is based in fact, right?
Yeah,
I agree. I don't mind if kids are learning about LGBTQ plus anything, any type of history, information. I think it's smart. I think opening that up, I think sex education is smart. I think opening it all up, because what we've been doing is only opening up in schools to this is what the standardized tests want us, and that's what you're learning. Our art departments and our music departments and everything, we do have transgender people walking around. So I mean, I talk to my kids about it, and it's not really destroying them. I talk to them about it openly, about like, you know, what the trans community is and like, you know, what they represent and this, that, and the other thing. Now, that doesn't mean that I agree with all of the medical, you know, like whatever goes into it. I'm not a doctor. I can't speak on the jargon on it, but and by jargon I mean medical jargon. I can't do that, but I will say, like, I don't fully agree because I don't know that any children should be receiving anything under 18 without you know, but at the same time too, I take my kids to get vaccines and I don't 100% know what's in there, so it's kind of makes me a bit of a hypocrite, you know, so like, I'm not a doctor, and that's why I don't comment on this stuff often, because I don't like, I know what science has told me and I know what my belief structure is. So I'm not discounting fact in any way or anything like that. But I am also open to accepting anybody for whatever they believe or feel or know.
And that's what's so great about this country, is that we have the right to live the way we choose to live. If that's your choice, that's fine. That I have no problem with that. It's when you start forcing it upon other people is where I draw the line, is where now you have to tell me that, oh, I am a woman. Like, to me, you might not be.
Well,
I'm not going to disrespect you. I'm not going to disrespect you and be like, oh, no, you're a man. No, listen, whatever you feel, that's fine. But you're not going to force me to believe what you believe. Because to me, it's like, I was raised by my mom and my sister, right? I was raised by two women. And for a man to come just say, all of a sudden, I feel like I'm a woman and I'm a woman, but you didn't experience any of the things that they went through in life. Like, you didn't really experience what it is to truly be a woman.
Oh, okay. I mean, I understand what you're saying.
I've seen my sister deal with an abusive husband. I've seen my dad cheat on my mom. I've seen this and I've seen the heartache they've gone through, and seeing what it is to really. When my mom went through menopause, hot flashes, all this other stuff, all these cycles, women having their cycles and menstruating and all this, giving birth to kids. These experiences women have. Yes, not all women can give birth. Their thing is, oh, but all women don't give birth. Yes, true. This is true. But a majority of women do give birth.
No, absolutely. I'm not disagreeing with you.
Oh, no, I'm
I just like, for me, like, but if somebody identifies as a woman,
that yes, I'm not. I'm not gonna say no. I'm not gonna say no. You're not. That's your belief. But don't. I don't have to. As long as I don't disrespect you and go around like, oh, that's a boy. Like, whatever you claim, that's fine. That's but don't necessarily mean that we all have to view your vision. As long as we're not disrespectful about it, let us go about our business.
Oh yeah, but I mean, nobody really polices thought. Like, you can think whatever you want. Yeah, and
thank God.
Like you said, as long as we respect, we don't want a Minority Report situation going on.
Yeah, right.
Now, I'll say for me, because I know I'm not trying to throw age at you guys, but since I'm a little younger than you guys, I didn't really like, as far as, you know, trans community or all of that whole community, I never had a problem, you know, with any of them, because kind of like you said, I respect who you are, and that's it. I just leave it at that, because I'm not a part of that community, not directly. I support you guys. I love you guys. I would never say anything out of hate and purpose, but that's where I am with them. For me personally, forgive me any watchers that might be offended by this word, but it was hard for me when I inherited a niece that had Down syndrome, because I grew up calling my best friends retards all the time. And I didn't realize that's one vernacular that for me hits kind of what we're talking about right now. Like,
it's differently for you.
Right, because I can't count.
But it's not like, all right, because I understand, because I have my grandson who's autistic, and he's on the spectrum and everything, and he's 6 years older, and now he's just learning how to speak, right?
There you go.
And so I'm from a generation where we called each other retards. Yes,
right.
It was something that it wasn't like
it
wasn't like how you would stick, like we would make, like,
because it's my show. Let me just take this. We said it back then. We did. It was part of nomenclature. That's just what you call people. And honestly, I don't ever remember saying it or hearing it from somebody where you really meant like disabled.
Malice,
Like you just said the word, and
Right.
a lot of other words that were really offensive, you did
Yes.
too. Because it was just
Yep.
part of the times. We cannot say it now. Like we're saying it just to show, like we're saying retard to
We're
put the
not
emphasis
saying
on.
it to
Yeah.
Well, I realized I was the only one who didn't say, so I was like, allow me to say it with you to say like that's what we're saying.
Right.
We're drawing the ridiculousness towards it. And honestly, you know what? I'm gonna change gears just a little bit. I'm kind of fucking pissed off about that. There are so many fantastic words. All right. Let me tell you something. When the words have a hard end, an ending really hard, like cunt, you know, or cock, or you know, all of this, like they're so good. I am so mad that there's so many truly offensive words attached to communities or things that they shouldn't be. They should be attached to other things, like I don't know, one could be a tree, and I don't give a shit.
Right.
But they're good fucking words.
Right.
They're just the
comebacks.
meanings of them are the fucking worst.
Yeah, I got.
I have to argue that, and yeah, fuck.
Oh yeah, there's a couple of words out there that
Just hating a good
we
word.
miss.
You know? But why can't we call like I don't know, like fucking shitty things like moth or something like that? You know, and then
I'll start it with you.
I'll never need to say that word again, but I can still say the good words.
Yeah,
that's fair.
I know I'm going a little crazy, but you know, this whole episode might have been planned by AI. Who knows anymore?
I hope not, because
my
verbiage is bullshit.
I truly wish like somebody would make an all AI. Well, I'm sure they have. Do you think somebody's made an all AI podcast?
Oh, absolutely. I'm sure.
What is that like?
I'm sure it's got to be studying the algorithms and probably just clips of them, and then they build, you know, what they think a perfect show is. I'm sure. I'm
not going to lie. I'm a little offended. I feel like this is what a fighter pilot feels like when they're like, we're switching to a drone program. I realized I just compared my podcasting to a fighter.
But all right, so as far as AI goes, it's challenging to really be like, oh, do I want to use it or don't I want to use it, or do I use it on my show? Yes, but I don't use it I use it in a certain way. I tune in and hear the R word and then the C word and feel so happy.
Oh, Jesus Christ,
Fred. Yeah, Fred. Yeah, it had to be Fred. Yeah.
We were saying it to not be offensive, and somehow Fred rolled in and was like, "Let's be offensive."
Right when we get offensive, that's when Fred rolls in, right?
I gotta tell you, I mean, I use AI all the time for my, ChatGPT. I use for research purposes, all different types of shit. Like I couldn't write my scripts without somebody doing research. I can't do all of that research. Now I have to double check it because I don't know how good AI is.
Oh no! Listen, I input the prompts and everything. And I use it to do the descriptions for my show. I do it for titles for my episodes and stuff like that. So I'll put in the prompts and everything, and I'll put in the description of who my guest is, what they're doing, what they have books on, and AI formulates titles for me. Do they all work? No. Sometimes they do. Sometimes, but for the most part, the information you put in, it's what you're gonna really get back out of it.
Well, let me ask you this, because I want to gear it towards movies a little bit. So we're going to be reviewing a movie later, but I wanted to talk about it now. There was some controversy around Late Night with the Devil. They used 3 inserts. That's right, just inserts, not video, just inserts. That were AI generated. And a lot of backlash on that for AI being used. Now, for me, I'm wondering, when does AI get to be a tool? Because right now there's a lot. I get the idea of like, don't write scripts with it. I get, don't come up with movie ideas from it. All of that little stuff. But at what point can we start using it for art? Does it, I don't know. Like, I don't, it's not like I have a stance or anything. I'm just want to throw that out there. See what everybody else thinks.
Specifically with Late Night with the Devil, I think it's ridiculous. People boycotting an independent film because of those 3 stills. Especially when it's artists that decided to use it just to just to help out for that. It's not that they replaced any staff or anything with AI. You know, the people they chose to do the art are the ones that use the AI. So I think it's ridiculous with Late Night with the Devil that the backlash is that, and I think it speaks to the movie that if you have nothing else to bitch about this movie except for that, then that's you just digging just to try to find something to say bad about that movie. So I think it just speaks to the caliber of Late Night with the Devil.
Well, I'll tell you this: when it comes to independent films, like I was talking studio, but when it comes to independent films, now I understand what you're saying, like because this was an indie film, and I'm glad you brought that up because I was thinking studio, but bringing up indie. Everybody who bitches about an independent film using anything AI in it better start donating to independent films on their Indiegogos when they're starting putting them together, because that's how you say, all right, I'll donate, but I don't want you to use AI. Fine. But when they have the budget, great. But then you feel like you get to have a say. And I wonder how many of those people even knew what was AI in it.
Probably.
Right. Yeah.
And had someone that made reference to it or said something about it, they probably wouldn't have known.
No. Not at all. And I'm trying, and the fact that it becomes a controversy to use something that's a tool, again, if you're creating characters out of nowhere, if you're writing scripts with it, no. Just like I don't think a podcast should be 100% AI. But if somebody starts out in podcasting and it's an independent podcast and they use AI for artwork, which by the way, I don't. I make my shit.
Let's Canva there all day, man. I got Canva there for a reason.
Yeah. So I just want to point that out. I'm not saying I'll never use AI, but I am saying I make my shit. So I have to promote. But I'm not opposed to somebody using AI though. And when it's readily available, it's on YouTube now. Hey, let AI create a thumbnail for you.
Even StreamYard is using AI to create your thumbnail.
Absolutely right. It's on everything. So I'm not taking away from artists. Support artists, of course. And but that's the thing. Art is subjective. So not everybody's going to support your art.
Yeah.
So like that artist still should be allowed to use whatever tools are available to get their stuff done.
I agree with that.
Now I'm not saying that should be created out of nowhere, but that AI those inserts matched the movie. They matched the tone. Right. They matched the vibe of what was going on. They matched the color scheme. So it was planned AI. So like, you may have AI make it for you, but you prompted it. It was still your thought.
Right.
So if somebody can't draw and they use a prompt to make something for them, or I don't know. Like it's such a twisted thing. Again, I don't have a stance on it really, but I just feel like this is a little too much.
I would have a problem if it was a big studio. Like if I heard the next Marvel movie was completely AI generated, scripted and everything, that's where I think it's not okay. Because like you said, if you have the funds to have people like the correct people doing it, you should have the people doing it. If you're replacing people with AI, I think that's where it's not okay. Now, if you hire someone that might use some AI to help them, I don't see a problem with that. I think AI is meant to be used as a tool because, I mean, it's in everything. And some of the people I've heard talk about AI, I'm like, I don't think you realize how much AI you use just in Snapchat or Instagram or anything else. Even our phones for pictures, for instance, they pick out things and you can take someone completely out of a photo in a group photo. That's AI doing it.
Yeah, so. Now that like the Google Pixel 3, whatever it is, like you can take a picture, right? And now, say you're throwing up a baby, right? And you can actually move the baby up, and it looks like you're throwing them higher than what they're like. So it's so much. It's when we use it as a tool that I don't see an issue with it. Like I said, I use AI, I use different tools. I use Cast Magic, I use Opus Clip, I use ChatGPT. These are just tools that I use because it saves me time.
Yeah, I agree with. I feel like AI should be a tool. It shouldn't replace art. But what are we talking about here? Like, okay, so what's the difference between somebody like me going out and learning how to do graphic design versus somebody using for their own purposes, their own thing, AI versus hiring artists, like rather than me learn it, hire an artist.
I think that comes down, I mean, in my opinion, personally, I think that's just like how some people can go to Harvard and get a medical degree, but then you have some kids that can manage to go to a library and get the same education by themselves. I think, I'm not saying always take a shortcut. I'm not saying that's okay and anything like that. But I think it evens the playing field and keeps everyone on their toes, I think, in a good way, because I mean, even I can't do art at all. Let me first say, you're talking about stick figures. I can't, man. They look ridiculous. So if I were to ever try to create something art, I absolutely would have to use AI, but at least it wouldn't look as bad. So I think we focus too much on the negative, I feel like, with AI, not saying necessarily we think it's Genesis and it's going to be Terminators, but just in general life, I think it's fair, and it helps people that might not be able to enjoy certain factions of life because now they have AI that will assist them and get some of their ideas out there. And I think, in my opinion, I think it's a beautiful thing, and I think it's good. I don't want it to take someone's job, but I also think it'd be smart, or not smart, but I think in the future we'll see people that are good with facilitating being able to talk to AI, to know exactly where you say, Paul, I want, a wolf on a fence pole chasing a chicken or something like that. Well, I know exactly what to say to the AI to get what you want there. So I think that's the coming future, where you'll have people that are just great with talking with AI and getting what you want. And I think it's going to add a different faction of art, in my opinion, because then you're going to have AI, I don't know what you call them, ambassadors.
I don't need hollow AI art. Fred brings up a good point. AI lacks heart but has many purposes. Absolutely. And like we're talking about, like, use it as a tool. Like, I don't want to walk through an AI museum. I don't. I've seen AI art and it's fucking twisted. So but I will say, like, for me, if it can be done, if it's something that should be done by an artist, absolutely. I don't want to watch animated films made by AI. It's creepy. I want it done by artists who are giving it, like he says, heart, and there's like a passion to it. Same with music. Same with paintings. Same, all that stuff. I'm not saying you should go out and make paintings and then put them in your movie, hang them up on the wall behind your movie. Like, then you're just a dickhead. But so, like, for me, it's like, I think once they make a parameter, like, okay, a movie is allowed to have up to 20% of it can have been worked on through AI.
Right.
Then people will become more susceptible to saying, okay.
That's
but
fair.
I think all of us can agree. None of us are susceptible to AI podcasts. Fuck you, AI podcasts. But we are going to start switching gears towards the end of the show. But Wize, before we go, I want you to tell everybody about your show and where they can find it.
You can find Stuck in My Mind podcast on all major platforms, Spotify, Google, Podbean. And then you can find the Stuck in My Mind podcast YouTube channel as well as going to www.stuckinmymindpodcast.com. And
all linked down below in the description, so you can go there first. But if you're looking for it or you listen to it somewhere else and it's not there, make sure you get out and you go check out Stuck in My Mind podcast for sure. Wize, I want to say thank you so much for joining us tonight and hanging out.
Thanks for having me, brother. I'm always game to jump on and and talk some movies or whatever.
Absolutely. And I appreciate all your insights and everything else, but we're going to let you go. And until next time, make sure you go check out Stuck in My Mind podcast, everybody. Later. Man, that was a lot of fun. And really insightful, like being able to talk and about different opinions and kind of just what we got into. Like it always feels nice to open up a dialogue and just kind of talk it out, maybe learn something. Everybody has different points of view, but it felt right. Felt good.
Right.
But I got more information.
Oh.
So everybody, on May 17th, if you didn't know, that's right, Casters for a Cause charity script read will be back. May 17th, 7 p.m. Eastern. That's right. We are doing the movie Scream. It's sponsored by Carolina Fear Fest. 5 years of fear. Go get your tickets and be there Memorial Day weekend. Come hang out with me, Paul, and so many more. That's right, everybody. Well, there's going to be a lot better there, too. So, like, there's going to be a lot better people there. One of them being David Arquette, who's going to be there. That's why we're doing Scream. But all proceeds are going to Haunters Against Hate, which is the official charity chosen by Carolina Fear Fest. It is a fantastic charity that helps kids in the LGBTQ plus. There's a lot of bullying. There's a lot of hate that is received, especially amongst kids. And this is an organization that goes out to try and help them, teach and like just kind of bring awareness. So it's a beautiful organization. That's why we're happy to do that. And now, so with Carolina Fear Fest, they've announced another guest for this year, and that is Amelie McLean. She was on General Hospital. She was in Transference, and she was the young clown, Art the Clown girl in Terrifier 2. So come out and see her. Couple more things I want to say is Godzilla. We finished our finale, our final episode, episode 16. Yeah, it was a long 16 weeks of watching everything Godzilla and talking about it. You can go back and watch this one, or you can start from the beginning and watch all on the Scene Snobs channel. But if you want to watch trailers and theories, you got to be on the Patreon or Discord, and that is linked down below in the link tree. Make sure you join up. You can join for free on the Patreon. You can try a free trial. Or we have some amazing tiers available, and we are going to have a lot more live shows and more coming out. We already have some exclusive shows like Warp Factor Fiction and more, but trailers and theories starts tomorrow. Hopefully you can join in. You are encouraged to hang out with us and join in on that. But
yes,
I know Paul's excited, so let's get down to it.
Yes.
The Scene Snobs reviews. Tonight we're talking about the Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare and Late Night with the Devil. And I thought, because I know what Paul really wants to talk about with his horror background, is we'll start with the Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare. It is a movie by Guy Ritchie starring Henry Cavill, Alan Richardson, and more. And what is, they are come together. They are unruly types. Maybe some infraction breakers, some real don't go by the rules types, if you know what I mean. And they are brought together by Winston Churchill to start terrorizing the Nazis. How so? By taking out the U-boats. And that's going to start by taking out their supply ship. It's based on a true story, and I did enjoy this one, I got to tell you.
Yes.
I had a lot of fun. This is Guy Ritchie. This is the Guy Ritchie I want.
Yes. Yeah.
This had more of a tone to Snatch or Lock, Stock, or even like the Sherlock Holmes movies, like those ones that I really appreciate from Guy Ritchie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
The Wrath of Man, or the Man of Wrath, or whatever. I don't even know that. He seemed, that was a guy who seemed, and I don't want to ruin that for you, but
spoil it.
The Wrath of, what is it? The Wrath of Man with Jason
Statham?
Yes.
Jason
Statham's the only guy who could play a dad, straight up just play a dad, who, when he has to try and stop his son from getting killed, shows all the intensity a dad would have to try and get there. Then once he finds his dead child, shows no emotion whatsoever. And then he goes on a killing spree. I don't know. It was like weird. It was like Guy Ritchie's John Wick, and it just didn't work. I did like The Gentleman, though, in this. So a lot of the good Guy Ritchies, this had a vibe. What did you think of this movie?
So I went in there. I honestly thought it was going to be kind of like his last couple ones, which, I did enjoy The Gentleman and a few of his other latest ones. So I wasn't like, oh, I'm going to hate this, but I thought it was going to be kind of the Guy Ritchie formula and kind of set up that, what you expect from Guy Ritchie nowadays. I was pleasantly surprised that it was a lot less necessarily about, I'm not saying there's not violence or killing scenes, but it seemed like they were basing it more on kind of the story. It was kind of, character development, talking about the climate of this, World War II right then and everything like that. And I really, I enjoyed it. I was pleasantly surprised by it. I immediately told my parents they needed to go see it. And I would never tell them to go see a Guy Ritchie movie because they're not much into cursing. And it was kind of nice finally seeing a Guy Ritchie that I could be like, hey, go ahead and see this because the cursing wasn't bad and it wasn't a gore porn. So I think you guys will actually enjoy this, especially because of the story. I thought it was fascinating. It made me want to look more into the U-boats and how much of a big influence that had during the war.
That it was a big proponent of why the U.S. didn't want to get involved, because it was just everywhere. Right? We wouldn't even, So like that was a big deal. I never knew this story though, so this is very cool to kind of see that it is based on a true story, and then kind of deep dive into it. I don't mind sensationalized history. As long as like a movie like this, it the general story.
Right.
You know, it does. I can have a harrowing tale. Like I love The Great Escape, but I know that's not the actual like truth behind the story. Just the facts of like certain things that happen. I like that they divided it up. It wasn't just like the Ungentlemanly types, which is a whole crew. And then you had Isa Gonzalez, who played Marjorie Stewart, and then you had Heron, played by Babs. I'm going to ruin his last name, but he is a fantastic actor. I love him, and I love them in Strange New World. I love him on Strange New Worlds, but Babs Olusan Moken. I hope I said that somewhat right, and I'm sorry if I did. But he is a fantastic actor. But they played the spies, that, and I loved that. I see. I was torn in this movie. It worked out well together, all of it. But I could have done a movie on either one.
Right.
You know, like I was like, I almost want more of both.
Right.
Stop dividing it up. But I really did enjoy this. I am really liking Isa Gonzalez. She was great in this. She's on Three Body Problem, which I just finished. So like she's doing really well. So in this one, I really did enjoy. And the bad guy is the bad guy from Beverly Hills Cop 2, Till Schweiger. So I was very excited to see that. I had a good time. I really did. I had a good time. I wouldn't mind more. You know,
a lot more like this. Do more declassified files from British.
I got to assume, like, if they all survived this, then that was his team, like his A team of like go do dastardly things. Yeah, they probably did more. The war was just like kicking off before America even entered. You know, like so. Yeah. And, you know, I'd be anxious to see more, but let's see what our ratings for this is. And we both gave it 3.5 stars, or mice, I should say. We are pretty well matched lately. I don't know if I like this. I need to start picking movies. That, no, I'm just kidding.
I'll just rate everything at like a 2, and you'll be like, "What?"
No, you stop. No, I appreciate that. No, but 3.5. I think this is a good movie. I think this was well acted, well directed, lots of good action, but lots of good like thrilling. I don't want to say thrilling. It wasn't like super thrilling, but you know, there were times you're like, do they know?
Yeah.
You know? That whole train sequence was really good.
Yeah.
So no, I don't think people are going to give it enough credit. I really don't. Like this was again, I'm not saying this is like an amazing film, but it was definitely a fun, and I had a good time with it. And I want another Man from U.N.C.L.E. I'm saying it, Guy Ritchie, Man from U.N.C.L.E. I like that one, but if you're kicking Army Hammer out, you got Henry Cavill, replace him with what's his name, Alan Richardson. Perfect. I like Alan Richardson, so like he can be in anything. It's the big one, the one you wanted. You've been asking for weeks to do this one. Late Night with the Devil. Oh, you were so pissed that I didn't get a chance to see
it. I was, because I want to talk to you about it. So it's kind of fun that we really get to talk about it right now, live with everyone. So,
and that's what I wanted. First off, everybody who's telling me that they don't like this movie, you're wrong, and it's okay to be wrong, but I wish you would just admit it. Just admit it. Admit it, Dan. I mean, admit it, everyone who's wrong. We all know who that was for. Our good buddy. We love him. Okay, so the movie follows it takes place in the 70s. It follows what was his name in the movie? I can't remember his name.
Oh, Jack Delroy.
Jack Delroy. That's what it was. It was such a good name too. It was a really well done name. So David Dashmushin is playing Jack Delroy, who is like the number 2 spot. So think of it like if Johnny Carson, of course, was a king, was number 1. Then I guess he would be like the Jay Leno to. It's so convoluted to use this as an example, but like,
right.
Jay Leno was number 2 to David Letterman for all those years. So like, he's like in the number 2 spot for Tonight Show. And he's just trying to beat him. That's like his goal. He wants to beat him. So they allude to this being a found footage of the show, aired live, but it was like sealed away after that. And it was an exorcism. But they allude a lot to Jack's past with like a secret organization and all this other stuff. We're probably going to go a little spoiler heavy on this. So if you haven't seen it, maybe tune out now, but I wouldn't, because we're fantastic and funny and who cares. But we're going to get into it. So like, if you don't want to be a part of it, come back later and then comment along with us. But all right. So I'm gonna let you start. What did you think of the movie first?
Okay, so when we went to see this, we had only barely seen the trailer, so we were like, and then we saw that it was made by Shudder, and I was kind of like, it's gonna be probably like a solid 2 or 3. Like, let's just go ahead and see it because we had just signed up for a movie theater subscription. So we're like, we're not gonna be out anything. Let's go see it, and I was absolutely floored. It's been a minute since I sat in a theater and watched the credits, just sitting there, like trying to understand and comprehend everything I just saw. Because I know not everyone agrees with me, but like this is probably to me the best horror movie that's come out in my lifetime.
Wow.
Film. Yes.
You think this is better than The Exorcist, huh?
No. Well, in my lifetime. So
well, what do you think though? I stand by the
I will say so okay, The Exorcist. I don't want to talk shit about The Exorcist. The Exorcist is great, right? Shock value, all of that. But I would say this is the godfather of exorcism. It didn't need all of the extra. It didn't need everything like that. It was very elegant, and there was a lot more depth to this than The Exorcist.
All right. Listen.
Oh, no.
no. I'm not going to put it. Listen, The Exorcist works on a perfect level. Like, there's just some movies that are, we say perfect, but it really isn't that they're perfect. It's that they're memorable. It's that they have the perfect amount of great story, great acting, great appeal, and enough nostalgia to keep it alive forever. The Wizard of Oz.
Right.
The Godfather. Like The Exorcist. I would call The Exorcist one of those things. Mm-hmm. To me, this movie has that. It's just harder and harder to get movies like that now. Mm-hmm. And I don't think it's going to go down like that. It should, but it just, with the controversy and people refusing to see it and all that, it's not going to go down like that. But I do agree with you. And our buddy James MCD Reviews is here. He says the same. He's, to him, it's contender for top 10 best of the year. It's a great film. I think this is, and I do not say this lightly, this is probably the second best exorcism film I've ever seen. And for a very similar reason that I like them. The ending. Like I liked how it plays out. I realized during this podcast, I'm like trying to choose my words like wisely here, because it is true. It's like, this is one that could have gone down memorable. Like that's why in today's world it drives me crazy. It's like people listen to headlines before they actually go and find out for themselves. Like I couldn't see Back to the Future doing well this time around,
right?
Because it would just get drowned out. People would see it, but it probably would be like 2 or 3 at the box office. So that's what I mean when I'm like, this movie probably won't get remembered as much. Yeah, but it has it. It's that good, and at least we can say we remember it.
Yes.
And the people who say that it isn't good, well, I don't know what to tell them.
Yep.
But our ratings for this,
yes,
4.5 out of 5. Both of us, we both the same again this week. That's crazy. Now I don't want to rush you off. Like, if you have anything you want to add about this movie, please go for it, bud.
Oh yeah. I kind of want to preface it. I know we said it's an Exorcist movie, but I'd like to say this is almost more like a Rosemary's Baby, honestly, because it's more of a story about greed, because it's all about Jack. Honestly, like, it's about his greed and his ambition to do whatever he needs to do to be able to become famous. And I love Rosemary's Baby. So when I realized, kind of what was going on, I realized when they emphasized how, oh, well, his wife died of lung cancer, but never smoked. I was like, well, that's kind of odd. And then you saw that he was part of, I just got the Bohemian Grove. I was kind of like, well, I'm putting these pieces together, and it's like, okay. So I will say, as much as an Exorcist movie this is portrayed to be, I think there's a lot more to it than that. So it's not just the Exorcist. It's not just head spinning, things like that. This was probably, it sounds silly to say it like this, but it was probably one of the first movies I completely felt immersed into. I bought everything in this movie, and I've watched this movie at least 12 times now.
Jesus, it only came out like a month ago.
I know.
Wow, it really is a memorable one for you.
Yes. It's the first one where I can't, like, I've tried to watch like every scene multiple times. Like, you don't see any mishaps, because sometimes in certain horror movies or certain things you can catch little things, or even a cell phone in someone's back pocket, but they're supposed to be in the 1980s, things like that. This one, it looks like they took care of every scene and did it right to where I actually bought this was a talk show.
Yeah.
And for some of my friends that, you know, hate POVs, I kept telling them, I was like, I get this says this is a POV, but if anything, I feel like it's almost its own category of just being an archive. I guess
I would still call it a found footage film, because it is a found footage, but you're right, it's not really a POV. It's just, yeah, like I like that. We should talk about that on the show. Like, can we break down found footage a little bit more? I like that point. Let's hold on to that. But I agree with you on that one.
And as far as the acting, everyone was fantastic. That girl was terrifying, you know, just playing the ditzy girl and then switching over. And this was her first role, as far as I could see. So
really?
I look forward to seeing her in a lot more movies. David was phenomenal. I've enjoyed him in everything else, and I really liked how in this, I didn't even think of where I knew him from other movies, but I couldn't think of anything because I bought that he was Jack Delroy 100%. There was no thought that, oh yeah, he was in Suicide Squad or he was in Dune, and I love Dune. There was no second thoughts of that. It's like, no, he's Jack Delroy. This is it. And they did their research. Yeah, and they did the research because after watching it that many times, I finally caught that when Christo's doing his thing, you know, Peterman, whatever, he has that fake accent, you know, to be kind of showy and things like that. But when it comes to Minnie trying to communicate through him, his accent goes away and he's just speaking perfect English. So like they do little things like that to, to kind of show that, oh no, this is real. This is intense. Like he's just trying to get Minnie's voice out there ASAP to where his voice changed. Like he's not trying to be a showman. He's just trying to get that voice out of his head.
I didn't catch on to that. So I'm glad you said that. So there are a few things in this that, like, to me, it's not a perfect film. It's definitely a memorable film. It's and like perfect to me is 5 out of 5, you know, and I don't give everything 5 out of 5. This is 4.5 for me as a high honor in a movie.
Yes.
So like for this to get it, I think it deserves it. And it is so well put together, so well done. It tracks really well. Some of the black and white sort of memory tag-ons didn't work for me because I was like, you're taking me out of it, you know.
Okay.
You could have done it where, like, during a commercial break, he pulls them aside, and they have a talk like that, but it's not like in a black and white insert, you know. So certain things like that, like, you know, that took me out of it. So I don't think it's like a perfectly told story, but like it is well acted all the way through. Every single person, even like his like sidekick, who's the band leader. His worry throughout is fantastic. Like everybody just does a great job. Even like the cheesy sort of producer, skeptical. You know, he's a skeptic. He's just like a skeptic guy who's like a magician and such, who wants to disprove everything. He's so smarmy, but he works perfectly for a 70s talk show.
Yeah.
That's exactly who the person, like, you're not going to get. Like the other guy was the real deal, who was still showy. So when it happened to him, it like killed him. You know, it just destroyed it. But then you get to this guy, he's so smarmy, he's such an ass, and he thinks he has everything figured out and he's safe. Like he played true skeptic really well.
Yes.
I will tell you the worms thing and the entire audience being in on it, the hypnosis did take me out a little bit.
Okay.
I felt it was a little too much to be able to say you got everyone with that. You know, and it was a cool effect.
Right.
But I felt like that was added more for the effect.
Right.
You know, so like I don't know. So that was little stuff like that, but
but
overall
they make up because like I said, after watching it that many times, another thing I picked up is when she becomes, you know, the demon Abraxas. Sorry. She doesn't kill anyone in the audience. It's just that core group of people. And I didn't realize it, but you see it nonstop. And I was wondering why I was in there. But then I think it finally clicked that it was set up to make Jack Delroy look like the bad person the whole time, because you see the camera guy, you know, the whole time. And he's like, I don't see, you know, you're not seeing that. What are you talking about? Like, you're not seeing this. Oh, I think it's set up so that Abraxas isn't showing the actual like TV audience what's actually going on there. That way it just looks like everything kind of as crazy is happening. And then when he stabs her at the end, because he thinks he's stabbing Minnie, it actually just looks like Jack Delroy just stabbed her just for nothing.
Yeah. No, they set it up really well, that ending too. It's not that I disliked any of it. It's just that that was the only thing, like and I got why they needed to do it. You're right. Like, who's in on the trick here? You know what I mean?
Right.
So like, and so I understood. I think it was too big.
Okay.
So like that was like it was more done for that effect. Yes, to further the tale too.
Mhm.
But it was more done for that effect of him ripping himself open. It was like,
Right.
It's too long. You
Okay.
know, you're trying to hold on to this hypnosis theory, and it's like it almost feels supernatural with how long this is.
Right.
So, and I get the eerie vibe of it, but like it didn't. That part was just too long, where it didn't land for me. Cool effect, but never sacrifice the story for effect.
Right.
That's my personal stance, but but we do have an all new Mick's movie pick from 2015, and in lieu of us hating Scoop, I wanted to tell everybody to go watch Spotlight, the actual perfect one. That's I was like, let me for anybody who maybe didn't hear last week, now you can go back and check that out, but go check out Spotlight for sure. Great movie. That's my list and for today, so go check it out and enjoy it, and you tell me what you think of it, you crazy people. I want to thank also our guest, Wize. Thank you for joining in tonight. We really, truly appreciate you being a part of it. And just talking about us with some BS and some fun and having a good time. So I do want to thank our sponsor of this episode. That's right, Pure Hemp Botanicals. Go check them out. I have used these. I don't have them right now. But this is a good deal. I need to go check it out. Delta 9 THC gummies. I do enjoy them. So if you guys are looking for it, make sure you are good to go and go take it out, and then go down in the link below and get your 25% off. But before we get going, do you have anything you'd like to add, sir?
If there's a free public restroom, make sure to use it.
No, don't do that if you don't want to.
Yeah.
Don't listen to them.
I just mean, you guys, in life, if something's free, why not take advantage of it? If it's being offered, take advantage of it.
Don't do it. And if there's a hole in the door, don't do it. Don't do it.
Just knock 3 times.
Don't close your eyes and open your mouth. Do not do it. That's the advice I'm giving you now. But thank you so much for joining us on this podcast. If you guys are enjoying the channel, or you checked out this show and you want to check out more, we have a whole channel. Go check it out. We have tons and tons of. We have almost 3,000 videos, tons of stuff. It's not just this. There's a bunch of stuff. We love movies, geek, TV shows, the whole 9 yards here. We'd love for you to be a part of the Snob Nation. Go join up on our Discord as well. It's down in the description below in the link tree. Join up on our Patreon. We have a free tier. We have free trial if you want to check it out. We have tiers available, but we are doing the new trailer and theory show starting tomorrow, and we're going to have more live shows. Absurdity and Ladders is coming soon. That's going to be our role-playing game. All of it's going to be on the Patreon. Go check it out. But yeah, we truly appreciate you. Until next time, though, I'm Mick Manhattan. That's producer Paul. He's the man. Make sure you give him lots of claps. And then come and join us every Tuesday night on this wild ride of the Scene Snobs podcast. And we'd love for you to be a part of it. Also, we do have snobsmerch.com. Go check that out. I got to plug myself, so please put a lot of work into those designs. Not this one, but other designs. But until next time, I'm Mick, he's Paul, and we will talk to you very, very soon. Remember to be kind, stay classy, and take care of yourselves. That's important. Bye. Did it start? I always forget.